integral alternative in this election. And as you can see, my priority is your future. I believe that if you have done the equation as I've given it to you with your heart and done the arithmetic, you'll see that in electing a different person by in more ways than one, you have actually solved a lot of those things in one vote. That is, your children can now see that it is possible that they too do not have to be rich or have gigantic sponsors to run for office or do anything else for that matter. And when you vote for a person who actually believes that he represents hope, in other words, the hope itself is self-multiplying. What that does is that I don't think, like you've heard, people, it's only petty crimes. Petty crimes are usually need-based. When you are hopeless, you resort to any means. When you vote for hope, you have created a solution to all of the equation at once. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I feel like a fence sitter, but all four of these are a priority. And I'm a strong believer, my grandma used to say, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. So they don't need to be mutually exclusive. Taxes, I'd like to keep them as low as possible. I'll never promise a 0% increase because I think that's unrealistic and pandering. However, I do believe in value for money. And I'm not certain that we've been getting that, and I will fight hard to make sure that we do. And that means servicing needs before wants, and making sure that our infrastructure and other basic necessities are met before we chase legacy projects. Potholes, I did $980 damage to my spouse's vehicle this past spring, so that's kind of personal to me, but it should be something that's just a matter of course. And I think the city needs to look at how we're building roads, not just how we're filling the holes after that they need repair. Crime, it is an issue, and some of us do feel concerned about it, and I didn't hear any of my colleagues up here uttering a peep when they closed our community police stations a short while ago here in Newton and in Eastwood. Future outlook, of course, in everything, but we need to have short, mid, and long-term planning so that we're not doing things like painting bike lanes on the road, coming over a month later and ripping up the road, coming back 3 months later and repaving the road, and then coming back and putting the bike lanes back. What we need to do is start, being a little more methodical. LRT, I support it, but in the meantime, we need to deal with overcrowding on buses. So again, we don't have to just focus on one thing. We can make things better for today while planning to make them awesome. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to take our questioning to the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for all your comments. My question has been raised already, which has to do with the balance between development of cities through the building of suburbs and the rebuilding and revitalization and indeed sustainability of existing communities like our own. So there's evidence really good evidence from around the world that the way cities have developed, particularly in Edmonton's case, we can put Sherwood Park aside, let's look at Edmonton. This city council has constantly voted generally for the development of suburbs. Horse Hill is an example. And the evidence from around the world shows that it's not sustainable. It's not, it doesn't protect our valuable resources like farmland. It's a drain on things like water and so on. 15 minutes. So my question is, to Councillor Katarina, but to others as well, how do you, on the one hand, vote for increasing suburban development, and at the same time say that you are in favor of sustaining and protecting our mature neighborhoods?
Thank you for that. One isn't exclusive of the other. This city is a growing city. We have 30,000 new people coming to Edmonton because it is such a great city, because it's a place you can actually find work and raise your families. So people are coming, and people want their services, they want their homes, they want a choice. We understand, and we're working extremely hard for infill. That right now is very, very difficult, and if every infill lot available right now was to be developed, it wouldn't be enough to fill the demand that's coming forward. So the city, in the last number of years, has made a great effort to make sure that neighborhood renewal is on the top of our list, making sure that we have everything in place that would entice people to actually come, to actually develop in these mature neighborhoods. And it's happening. It's happening in many of the mature neighborhoods. Parkdale, I can give you an example, was in the top 5 of assessment growth last year in the city. Parkdale, we're talking about, in the top 5 assessment, because people are coming. They're choosing that particular community to live in because it's next door to the stadium station, because it is close to downtown. So that things are changing. Do you expect it to change overnight? The city's 100 years old. That's how it's developed. Whether you agree or disagree, we are where we are at this point, and we want to address both concerns. And people have a choice. We want people to have a choice of where they want to live.
The city's foundational growth strategy document, The Way We Grow, identifies the long-term growth strategy as embracing 75% new and 25% mature revitalization. I think absolutely that should be reversed. I think we should be electing a council that has the courage to admit that sprawl exists. I do not hear one current councillor who is running for office admitting that we suffer from sprawl today. And I would say tens of thousands of people in Edmonton believe that sprawl exists. Most objective observers driving to the far corners of the city would acknowledge that sprawl exists. And yet we continue to have a council that speaks in terms of balanced growth and smart growth and just pushes development out and out endlessly. So I think we have to change the philosophical framework on council. We need councillors that are prepared to slow down or say no to new development, take advantage of open lands within mature communities, and prioritize revitalization of mature communities. We have to shift the balance.
Well, just a couple of things. Mr. Katarina, I guess maybe you didn't get the memo, but Newton's not getting mature neighborhood renewal. They've decided to give it an overlay, so they're not on the list for 2015. Also, I think the idea to say that 75% of all new growth should be in mature existing communities is absurd. To let that happen, we would have high-rises beside each and every one of our single-family homes. So it's a great soundbite, but just think about it. Chew on it. It's a ridiculous proposition. What we need to do is have good quality infill development. I'm very concerned we're not going to get it because we've just relaxed the guidelines. I will be diligent to make sure that we don't have the same ugly triplex on every single corner every time someone dies or moves away. That's what we're seeing. We know that. We live here. Maybe because Mr. Katarina doesn't live in the ward, he doesn't see what's going on in our mature communities. We've got 50 new communities approved and under construction in this city. At the rapid rate of growth we're going through, that's 17 and a half years of stock. We have all sorts of time to take pause, rethink the way we grow, and that's actually a document, and it's also the way we grow, and stop, we're going to grow out, but let's stop the leapfrog development. Let's do it methodically this way instead of here, here, here. The development community tells us how we're going to grow. I'd like to turn that upside down. It's time that we took charge of how we grow. Thank you.
What was your name? Sorry. Hans. Hi.
Balancing growth with infill. There are two elements to this question that aren't addressed and are really important for this ward. The historicity of everything that's around us. There are places where we can infill and put in lots of people, but it's not everywhere and it's not in a blanket spot, and there's nobody who is on council, or frankly, very few people in administration who get listened to who know how to balance that properly. You need someone who's got a decade of experience working with UNESCO on how to balance historical growth within an urban context. That's my pitch for me. The second thing is really important. It was raised to me on 2 separate occasions. How much growth is too much? And it's a very scary question to ask, because sometimes you have to find out what is in fact the limit. And sometimes that limit has been exceeded and you have to say no more. We have 30,000 people coming to the capital region, not to Edmonton. There are many other small communities around us that are desperately dying, but people do want the country lifestyle. They don't all have to come here, and we will still survive as a city.
Well, I'd just like to say about economy of scale. The contractors are always gonna like a new area better. They can bulldoze a field and they put in 100 sewers and 100 basements and 100 houses and put in new road and they got a big profit for that year. Whereas infill, you have a lot of fiddling. My old man was a real estate agent for 50 years and he would much rather work in new areas than old areas. So if you want old areas, you have to push the contractors into it, because they're not going to, they'd rather have a new area. You can't have contractors dictating to you.
I think here comes the philosopher again. People call suburban development, and they call it urban sprawling. And when I first heard the word, I was baffled, and I did my research, and I couldn't believe that it's being spread the way it is. In any case, I'm not against urban sprawling in the sense that people are coming to Edmonton, nor suburban sprawling that people are living in the suburb. You have to realize that there is a reason people are coming here, and it's because, and I think if Edmonton or its suburban area are not a place for anybody to consider living, nobody will come, even if you're offering it at $1. However, if you look at the economic effect of what is going on, you see that we still stand to gain. However, what I would say is needed in this equation is control. Yes, you can have too much of a good thing. They spend $1 there, they come into the city, 50 cents is going to come here. However, if you do not control it, the end result is what we are not prepared for. And so, if elected, I would not be against urban or suburban sprawling. I will be for the control of such initiative. Steady growth with accountability. Thank you.
Question from the floor?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Nicole, and I live in Alberta Ave. And my question is to all of you, and you've all talked about the future outlook of this ward. What are concrete examples of things that you want to do that are going to attract young families to the neighborhood and keep young families here?
Okay, question will go to.
Get stuck with the stump. Yeah, there we go. Concrete examples, thanks. Great question. You can talk all you like, but what do you want to do? Right. First of all, you make sure that every time there's a development meeting of some syndications for people who are looking for places to build, that you're at those meetings, letting them know how many great businesses are currently on Alberta Avenue and in other areas, and you let them know of the tax benefits that the city already has in place, as well as the facade improvement programs that make it very worthwhile to get into those areas. Secondly, you work with programs such as the